We were out for most of the day doing ministry. I'm also preparing for Saturday. And talking about Saturday, there's one other thing I would like to say about Saturday. In that, remember I told you all to walk with your dollars because you want to have an auction. The purpose of the auction is to raise funds for the ministry, to do advertising. We need to advertise the ministry, and because it has to be paid for. So even just mentioning that we have a ministry, I have to pay for it. And so that's what specifically what that auction is for, to raise funds to advertise the ministry. Also, we need to register the ministry. We tried doing that last year and it didn't work out. Not going to get into details, but it did not work out. So we have to go and re-register. We started the process and we have to now go and re-register. So we're going to be doing that, and that costs some money as well, because we really want to open a banking account for the ministry. We want things to be transparent. And so we are asking you to come walk with your dollars on Saturday. Also, if you have something in your house that maybe you're not using, but something good, and you want to donate it to the ministry for the auction, specifically for the auction. Now, I'm not talking about something that's big and expensive. I'm talking about something that maybe nice, a little something, a little memento something, and you want to donate it for the auction. Remember, the auction is to raise funds. Then please reach out to me and let me know. Okay, so that we will, because we want to do it, we want to have fun, and while doing it, while raising these funds. And of course, we will not have any big set of money coming in for that, because maybe you only donated, well, not donated, but you're bidding $1, $1 at a time. So, but we want to have fun, and we want to raise that particular thing specifically to raise money so that we can advertise the ministry, and we could probably, again, start the registration process all over again. Okay, so if you have any, item, something nice, something people would like, but nothing too expensive, we don't want it to take expensive things, then reach out to me, please, by tomorrow, and let's see what we can do. All right? Oh, great. So let us continue from where we left off. Oh, first timers, if you're here for the first time, we just want to welcome you to our kingdom study. That's what we call it, our kingdom study, because we study the kingdom principles, the principles of the kingdom of God. There are many kingdoms, but we're talking about the kingdom of God. And it's a Bible study with a difference. It's a Bible study where we study kingdom principles, which sometimes takes us outside of the Bible. And when we say outside of the Bible, not that we're adding anything to scripture, but it's not a straight Bible study where you look at maybe a passage and go through it. There are times we will do that, but everything is rooted and grounded in the principles of God. Everything we discuss, everything we talk about. We want, when we're done, not only to have better Christians, we want better people, better husbands, better wives, better siblings, better sons, better daughters, better citizens. That's what we want to produce from this. We want to show people what it is a man and woman can be who is sold out for God. All right, so we need to be able to take the principles of God and add them to our everyday life, the things we experience in our workplace, in our home, in the community. And so that's why God told us to call it kingdom study rather than just Bible study. Okay, and we have been last night, this week, we started talking about God being love. And we start talking about this thing called love. And it's a word that we use very often, and we use it for so many different things that the word itself, the power of the word and the depths of the word has been kind of, watered down and depreciated. So we want to take a deep look into this thing called love. And we started by talking about being in love. What does it mean to be in love? We talked about that, and we asked the question, could you be in love with Jesus? We haven't answered that question as yet, but we will come to that. And we started looking at things that we mistake for love, for being in love. This part of the love, right? And the first thing we looked at is attraction. Sometimes you're attracted to somebody. I mean, they have nice qualities. There's something about them that you just love. You love the voice when they sing. Oh, it puts you in a place, above the clouds. And sometimes we think we're in love because of that. We love somebody's sense of humor. But love goes deeper than just attraction. Okay? Now, when you must be attracted to somebody in terms of loving them, and we talk about being in love. But attraction itself is not love. So you can have attraction without being in love. Okay? So we also talk about infatuation and limerence. And infatuation is fantasy-based. We say you have this passion for this person. You have this fantasy. You in your mind, you make up a lot of things in your mind about this person. And you don't see the person's weaknesses. You don't see the dark side. You just see the beauty in the person, or the handsomeness in the person, or the good things about the person, because you're living in a fantasy-based world. And we said limerence starts off with the truth, with the truth. You see the person, but all of a sudden, because of all the emotion and thing that you feel, it goes into a place of fantasy. Okay, and sometimes even with the words that they say, and we talk about the words, the lyrics that some people have, I mean, it produces oxytocin, or it causes your body to produce oxytocin. And because of that, you're swooning and you're feeling wonderful and you think you're in love. But that is not love. We talked about emotional hunger. We want to convince ourselves that we're in love because there's a void, there's an emptiness in our lives. There's something that is missing, and somebody comes and fills that thing. And we feel that we're in love because the person has filled up an emptiness and a void. Maybe that was left from another relationship, or something that we are longing for, because we have that built-in thing where we need to love and be loved. And somebody comes and we think we're in love because of that. But that is not necessarily love. And then we talk about friendship. Two people who are close, they grow up close, they're of the opposite sex, and they spend a lot of time together. They know one another. And they come to the place where they say, hey, listen, we know each other so well. We must be in love. You love the person, but we must be in love. And we misinterpret the feelings that we have for each other for love. And we talked about that last night. The last one that I want to talk about tonight, and we're going to start off with tonight, is what I call too good to be true. When something is too good to be true, what do I mean by that? Well, when there's someone comes into your life, someone who you see as gorgeous for a man, beautiful or handsome for the woman, they're popular, or they're in a senior position, and in your mind, they can get anybody they want. But guess what? They're paying you attention. You see that person that's quite up there, and you don't think that somebody like that could look at you. You feel honored and you feel special, because as far as you're concerned, that person is out of your league. And they make time for you. They converse with you, even if it's just by phone or by text. Or you just feel overwhelmed by the fact that this person, because compared to them, you see yourself as a plain Jane, or if there's such as a thing as a plain Jim. You see yourself as nothing compared to them. And this person in this position, this person who can get anybody they want, maybe they have money, they have status. You can't believe somebody of that status could be interested in you. And so your emotions get out of whack. And you feel that you're in love with the person, because what else? And one of the ways too is because you get jealous easily when that person, you see that person talking to somebody, or they give somebody else some attention. You get jealous. You want to know why they're talking to that person, because you feel threatened very easily. And you, in your estimation, as a matter of fact, not your estimation, you will do anything to please that person. Whatever they want you to do, you'll do it, because as far as you're concerned, you catch up a big fish, you have a gem. this person interested in me. And so your emotion get all topsy-turvy and you think that you're in love. You're in love with the person, And if the person doesn't call you, you feel sad. You feel frustrated, you feel depressed, you get angry. If the person, you expect any person to call and they don't call. And you get angry, or you look forward to the person call every day. Or something that the person does. Or maybe they work with you and you look forward to seeing them coming to work, and one day they didn't come to work, maybe they're sick or they take a time off, and your whole day is out of whack because you didn't connect with that person. But that person is too good to be true. And so you feel that you're in love with that person. You are in love with that person. And the thing is, sometimes that person may even have feelings for you. They may be in love with you. They may have genuine feelings for you. However, you only return that because of the attention they pay to you. Because you get caught up in the euphoria of the attention that you're getting. And because of that, if that person didn't look your way, you would never have any feelings for that person, but that person is showing you feelings. And so you feel that you're in love. You mistake that for love. I want to ask you a question. Has anybody ever experienced anything like that? And we want to be real. We want to be real. Has any one of us ever experienced something like that? Or do you know of somebody? Or anybody, do you know of somebody, maybe somebody shared with you, and you want to, when they told you, you want to tell them, you want to say to them, listen, they're not love. They're not love, because they come to you and they say, oh gosh, if you know who just called me, if you know who want to take me out, if you know, if you only know, and you want to advise the person. Have you ever been in a position like that, or you know anybody who has ever been in a position like that? Talk to me, somebody. Let's talk. Well, let's shy.
Dr. Richards?
Yes.
I have to say that I personally know that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, so yes. Yeah. Kind of get upset and kind of looking forward to the calls. And that's the question, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Somebody, as far as you're concerned, they're out of your league. All right. You're out of your league for whatever reason, whether it's the position or the fact that they're good looking, and you, in your opinion, they could get anybody they want, but they choose you. Something about the person you just feel is beyond your reach, but because of the fact that the person pays you that attention, you say, wow, I'm in love, because your emotion get all stirred up and you keep thinking about this and you're feeling so special. And maybe they say things to you that make you feel really, really wonderful. And they think you're in love with that person. That's what we're talking about. The too good to be true syndrome.
Sister Davia, Dr. Richards answered yes to that as well.
Okay. Anyone else? Anybody? Come, we want to talk, because we want to help each other. This is not about exposing anybody. This is about helping one another. Because we're talking about love and we're laying the foundation. We're laying the foundation because a lot of us mistake a lot of things for love. Anyone else?
Yes, Dr. Richards, Sister Janelle said yes.
Mm-hmm. I want you to give me a little more than yes and no. I want you to give me a little more than yes and no. Give me something. Let's talk about it just a little bit. Okay? Let's talk about it a little bit so that we can help
Elder Sherry, hand this up, Dr. Richards.
Elder Sherry. See if you can unmute, please. Make sure she can unmute.
Yes, she can. Yes, she can.
All right, and now I can now unmute.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Happy birthday, First Lady. So, Dr. Richards, in that, I had a scenario like that, but the person, I was supposed to be the outstanding or whatever description is.
The one who was out of reach. All right, yeah.
And this was a young man who was my neighbor. he had psoriasis. I don't know if you're aware of psoriasis. It's a skin condition.
Yes.
And as a result of that, he was scorned a lot, you know, even by his own mother, sometimes his siblings. And I used to embrace him. He used to come over, help me clean my yard and stuff. I'll feed him. He'll hang out with us, bring over his video games. We play video games, and you know, I'll treat him with respect. He was never scorned and all of that. And I have a friend who has a store, and one time he went to purchase something at my friend's store, and talking about the person that he's buying it for, and my friend recognized it was me, and no understanding that that's not she's not doing this because she's in love with you or anything like that, you know. That's just who she is. But he has never been treated that way before and given any level of respect or felt like he belonged anywhere, you know. That me having that kind of openness to him and having him around and interacting with my daughter and I and stuff, he felt that it had to be because I had feelings for him. So he wanted now to reciprocate, you know, these feelings to me. But my friend shut him down before he actually came to me. So it never manifested.
Well, let me ask you this question, and this is a scenario that happens a lot with people who have crush on you. You may be a student or somebody that you're seeing about. You know, they mistake that kindness, that gesture, you know, for being in love. But let me ask you this question: How do you think you would have dealt with something like that? Let me ask it this way: would it have made you uncomfortable? Would you have had to ask somebody for help in dealing with a scenario like that, or you figure that you could have handled it yourself?
I think I would have been able to handle it very well. Of course, at first I would have expressed to him, sorry, that I'm honored, you know, that he can, you know, even think of me in that way. But I'd let him know that, you know, kindness doesn't necessarily sorry, let me get some water. Kindness doesn't necessarily mean affection. A choking, sir.
Take a drink of water. I do that myself.
Get some water, sweetie pie, and come back. Don't choke.
Yeah, take your time. Anyone else in the meantime?
Dr. Richards,
Mm-hmm.
I experienced this exact situation years ago. When I had now gotten saved, I met someone in the church that I was going to, and he was a very nice gentleman, very to himself. People didn't understand him, and he didn't know how to even reach out to people as well. So I made it. I remember one time, after service, I would see him, just service would be over, and he would stand by himself, you know, away from everybody else. He would just stand up, and when people come and say hello to him, he would say, you know, hello, and he would say good night to them. And so I don't know, I felt like compassion, and I started going to him. And I remember one time I asked the question to him. I said, are you married? You know, and he never answered me. Yeah. And he just remained quiet and looked at me without saying anything. And I felt embarrassed because, you know, well, now we say, drink some water. I felt like I should have probably drank some water. And I was just trying to make conversation, you know, with the individual, but it didn't deter me, because there was something about him that I felt that I needed to befriend him. You know, you meet people, you see people would just go and just say hi and they would leave, and then he was just there. And I was persistent, you know, very persistent. And as Elder Sherry was saying, with her situation was the same thing. And so I would talk, and he's much older than I am, but I would reach out and I would talk to him, and I would talk, and then one day I think I invited him home by me, invited him for lunch, you know, and sometimes I would carry things for him to eat and this kind of thing. Lo and behold, you know, one day he wrote me a letter and he was expressing to me that he was in love with me and, you know, all of this. And I'm like, whoa, you know, whoa, where is this coming from? You know, because I always felt, you know, I don't know, I think, as I said, is my kindness. And I like exactly what Elder Sherry said. I told the person, I am really flattered that you feel that way about me, but I don't feel that way about you. You know, we can be friends. And I also told him, I remember the individual gave me that letter was, I think, a Friday night, you know, handwritten as well. And I told him, you know, don't feel bad about it. It's between you and I, but let's remain friends. That didn't really, the person agreed to it, but there was one of the things that I appreciated with him is that he respected Dr. Richards. What I said, his words were in agreement that, okay, yes, we can be friends, but just the way he treated me, just the way he spoke to me, I knew that he still had these feelings towards me, but he never jumped out of himself and disrespected me with that conversation again. And it's someone that we still maintain that friendship years down the road. And you know, it's funny how God would do certain things. And now this person feels more like family to me than just friends. You know, so, and as I said the same thing. I told him that I'm honored, you know, because you don't make people feel badly about that. Because remember, Dr. Richards, you don't tell your heart who to love. And the difficult thing sometimes is to get that head and that heart to come together. So you don't, it's just not, you just shouldn't be rude to people. It's not nice. You know, I didn't laugh at the individual. I didn't turn my back and say, whoa, you know, but if, I'll tell you this though, if they had jumped out of themselves and came back again with that conversation, there would have been no friendship. And to this day, after all these years, that person and I are still very close. Yeah, without that, yeah.
And you know, and it's important for us to deal with these matters delicately, as to not to rip people's heart, because you know, when someone is in love or they think they're in love, that's a heart thing. And it's important how we treat them, how we let them down. You don't lead them on, because some people take advantage of people knowing that, hey, this person has feelings for me, and they do things to get a lot of things out of the person, taking advantage, and that is wrong. So it's important how we treat with people who are in positions like that. And that's why I asked Ella Sherry how, you know, if she would have felt comfortable to deal with a situation like that, because we have to put ourselves in that situation. We have to put ourselves in you know, ask ourselves, if I was feeling that way towards somebody and they didn't reciprocate my feelings, how would I want them to treat me? And so that's how we have to treat them. But I want to say one thing. Pastor Nicole, you said something in passing, and you give them, you know, you said it as though everybody's supposed to understand what it means. So I want you to explain, drink some water, okay? Because you said it, and I know what it means, but please explain what you mean by drink some water, First Lady.
Okay, Dr. Richards. Sometime last year it was, there was on one of my feeds, Bishop T.D. Jake's daughter, every time she did her little presentation, because she was trying to lose weight, every time she was at the end of her 2-minute segment, she would pull up a bottle of water and she would say, remember, drink some water and mind your business. Every time she said, drink some water and mind your business. So that's where I said, and then okay. I think after that, I heard yeah, with the same thing, drink water, mind your business. I didn't even know that. I think it was something, you know, some American thing, but apparently everybody knew about it. So I use it a lot now, because I think the analogy, I was using it since I heard her say it, because I liked it, you know, it made sense. And so I use that analogy all the time. And I say to myself, whenever, you know, whenever I'm I would come and say that. So sometimes if I ask somebody a question and they answer me differently, I would say, you know what, I need to just drink some water. That's what it means.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. I have Sister Debbie, Dr. Richards, her hand is up.
Mm-hmm. Sister Debbie?
Before she goes on to the chat, and I have Elder Gail hand up as well. Before Sister Debbie took her hand down, before Elder Gail, Dr. Richards in the chat, there's a comment in the chat, right? He was my teacher. I had a crush on him. We went out once. My cousins pushed me to tell him, so I did. I did and was rejected. But I was glad that I did. I was glad that it did not happen because I would have based it. It would have been based on convenience, not love. Did you get that clear, Dr. Richards?
Yes, yes.
Oh,
okay.
all right.
Understood.
Elder Gail?
Understood.
Pastor Noel, could you just repeat your question to be sure that I have the right question in mind?
Well, we are talking about situations where we think is love because of the status of the person. The person has shown us some sort of affection. They may even like us, or they think they're in love with us. But we don't really feel, it's not really love, we feel it's love because of who the person is. Because of the fact that this person like me, this person interested in me, how in the world this person, and you gravitate towards the person. So actually it's their feelings to you that cause you to feel that way towards them. That's what we're talking about.
But then can't it really be love? And I'm just asking that question.
Yeah, it can be. It can be. And we will talk about love and what it means, because some of the things that we talk about, those things, love is part of those things, or those things are part of love. So it's not that it can't be, but I'm saying there are situations where, because the person has responded to us, we're not saying that it's in every case like that it's not love, but we're saying we mistake situation like that for love because of the fact that the person has responded to us. Maybe it's a teacher, as we just heard, someone in a senior position, you're working, your boss, somebody. Just because they like you or they pay you attention, they spend time with you, you in your heart feel, wow, this person loved me and I love them. And you respond to them. So it's your feelings is just a response or reaction to what they are doing. And it's not necessarily love. That's what we're talking about.
Okay, so I just wanted to be sure I had it clear in my mind. I remember many years ago, I was actually my daughter's father. I was a schoolgirl at the time, right? I was going to school. And there was this particular boy, but I knew him, but he was my friend. I really didn't see him in any other way but a friend. And one weekend, was a Saturday, he invited me out so that we could go to, it was Purple Haze or one of those little Lyman spot in Maraval. So I thought it was just both of us. But then he turned up with this gentleman, this tall, handsome, red guy. I always used to say, I like milk in my coffee, right? That was a phrase that I had. Anyway, so we all went out that evening. But this boy started showing interest in me. Now remember, I grew up in poverty, right? I mean abject poverty. So when this person started showing interest in me, I must admit I was flattered. But that caused a friction, a breakup between both of them, because that guy was liking me and I didn't know that. So when he brought his friend, who was his good friend, out in the outing with us, and then the friend started showing me interest, and of course I was taken because he had a nice car and all of those things. And when you're young, you just feel, all swoony and on this type of thing. And we ended up having a relationship because I was surprised, shocked that this gentleman, and he was from a pretty, well-off family. Mm-hmm. And we were in a relationship for a while, a good while actually. and I had my daughter, and we were going good. Well, I thought so. But you know, most of these men, they show you one side, but they have somebody else on the side, which I didn't know, because remember, I was still a young girl going to school. I always remember his mother worked at a particular place in Port of Spain. And after school, I would come down and I would go and visit him there. And think he was the accountant there. And I remember his mother used to work in the same establishment. And I remember many times when she comes past and she sees me, she would call him. And I know she was telling him, why is that you have this young girl here? But he never used to take her on anyway.
Mhm.
And, you know, we continued in that relationship. But I was really sweet. I really loved him, you know, because he was my first boyfriend, that type of thing, you know, and you're feeling, you know, all excited because this person, tall, red, good looking fella like you, little old me. I was really taken with that, you know. But
Yeah.
yeah, I had those kind of relationships, that type of relationship and friendship. And I was really taken with the fact that he showed interest in me, because I never saw myself as anything really at that point in time in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about. You know, you don't think somebody like that will show interest in you. So when they do, I mean, it's like, woo, fireworks and, you know, going off, and you start to reciprocate feeling, or you start to feel, maybe not reciprocate, but you start to feel all sorts of things because of who this person is. And that's what I'm saying. This is one of the ways that we mistake, or one of the things you mistake for love, when it is just that's too good to be true situation. That's what we're talking about. Is Sister Debbie still on? When I say still on, does she still want to make a
Yes,
contribution?
the Sister Debbie is still here.
Yes, Sister Debbie.
Just give me one second. 1 second.
And I don't know if Elder Gail is still, if she's able to, not Elder Gail, Elder Sherry is still able to.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes,
Go
thanks for
ahead.
holding.
Go ahead.
Yeah. You know, by listening from Tuesday, Wednesday, and today is Tuesday, right? I asked myself if I ever been in love now.
Mm-hmm.
If I ever been in love, because I just think about myself like Xena the warrior princess and them thing. I can't, you know, come over this kind of barbaric kind of way now.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? You know, if a man can bring me roses, he can sweet talk me, he can even, you understand? So I try, I have a question, right? And I know you will answer it as you go along, right? So you tell somebody you're supposed to be in love, the person think you're in love with them, okay? Because maybe you give them back the energy, but you know to yourself you're not in love with the person,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it was just saying about how you gently let down somebody, right? So you're not in love with the person, but you want the person to keep on believing you in love because you like the attention, you like where you're getting and them kind of thing, right? You in your mind now, you might say, like last time again, yourself was low self-esteem or no self-esteem. You might think that, you know, nobody's attracted to you. So you will stick with that person when you're not in love with that person, right? What do you think you should do, Professor? Should you be honest enough with yourself and the person and tell the person how you really feel? Or is that person giving you the moon and showing you, you know, you never seen life and them thing? Or do you continue, you know, along that line now?
Okay. Anybody wants to answer that? I will answer it after, but anybody wants to answer that? You know the person not in love with you, but they're giving you the moon and the stars, and because you know you're not in love with the person, but they're in love with you, and they showering you with all sorts of things. Should you tell the person? What do you do? Anybody? What do you think? Let's help Sister Debbie.
Dr. Richards.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Ella Sherry said she's good, so I guess she'll come back on, right, Ella Sherry? Dr. Richards.
Yes.
I know of a true to life situation right now going on where there is this woman there's this man, I should say, is in love with this woman. And she said she told him that she's not in love with him. And he still chooses to dote over her. And she said, well, at least I told him. So if he still wants to spend and buy me gifts and do all these things, that's his choice. But I already told him, and she's comfortable with that. Now, for me, I keep saying to her, you need to not accept the gifts. You need to not encourage your phone calls. You need not. And she said, Well, I've told him, and if he wants to continue to do that, it's his business. But he's in love with me. I'm not in love with him. I said it out, and that's the end of it. Sadness.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else? What are your
I,
thoughts?
yeah, in a situation like that, I will tell him that I don't feel the same way. I don't want any gifts. I block your number because I don't want anybody doting me. I don't want to hurt anyone, play with people's emotion because I wouldn't like anybody to do it to me. And I always say what I don't want for myself, I wouldn't do it to someone else. So if it is I don't feel the same way about you and you feel that way about me, I tell you, I block you off. I don't want to have any more communication with you because I will be leading you on. And this is something I always tell my girls. I said, do not lead anyone on. If there's a young man who is showing interest and you don't feel the same way, tell him you don't feel the same way and let him go his way. Don't play with people's emotions. I don't like that at all. It's not something I encourage.
But if he's willing to stay, I mean, you tell him that you don't feel the same way, and he says that is all right. And some people feel that if they continue trying, that one day they'll wear you down, and you will, you reciprocate the feelings. So if he says, "I will hold on until you learn to love me," what do? Do you still tell him go his way, or do you say, "Well, you're taking matters into your own hand"? What do you think?
No, you can't buy my love. I'm sorry. So you can give me you can come with all the gifts. I'm not interested because
Yeah, but no, we know that, and you know that, but you said that to him. You said to him, "Listen, it doesn't matter what you do, how much gifts you buy me, things are not going to change." But he says, "Okay, I still willing to buy you gifts. I'm still willing to do this for you." What do you do in a situation like that?
So if he buys the gifts and I receive it, it means I'm encouraging that. If he buys the gifts and I'm not receiving it, he has to keep his gifts because the more I receive is the more I encourage. No, if I tell you that is your business, I have nothing to do with you. I will cut you off because it means the more I communicate with you you have a glimmer of hope that I will change my mind, and I'm not going to change my mind. So I don't want to have anything to do with you. And if it's with you, but you keep your distance. Keep your distance. Thanks.
Thank you, Elder Gail. Thank you.
Dr. Richards, let me jump in here. Elder Gail, I give you a clap. That's exactly how I feel. And exactly what you have said, Dr. Richards, I have told this person, I said, listen, you need to block that individual and say to them, listen, I'm not hating on you, but you're not understanding, and I cannot continue like that. I will not accept the gifts, but I guess to each his own, and everyone sees things differently. So let their conviction. For me, I think I had to do my part by saying, listen, this is wrong. And I even said to that individual, I said, you have daughters too. And like, I really believe the seeds we sow today will reap a harvest tomorrow. And what we need to do is look at the way we treat people because it will come back. And in situations like that, if you have told somebody that you feel this way, then and this individual talks to this guy late at night, they would video call each other for hours, and then she would say, well, no, that's to her, that's normal. I said, no, you don't video call people. This person feels so about you. You shouldn't encourage it, but I guess it's a life, and everybody has their own conviction, and not, it's a sad thing. We have in the chat that Sister Judy said, I wouldn't accept his gift. Galaxy A12 said, yes, I am not accepting the gifts. Janet says, don't allow men to spend their money on you if you are not in love with the person. And let me tell you, this individual, Dr. Richards, he is laden with money. A local, what we call a local millionaire in Trinidad, and I don't know if that's, I don't know. And then maybe sometimes when you feel like if you cut it off, you never know what the future might hold, and you may need the person. I guess maybe that's the concept. Carlene says, I agree with you, Elder Gail. I wouldn't accept the gifts either. I would feel like I'm leading him on. Gina says, correct. And Carlene came back and said, there are several persons who believe they can buy love and affection. We have Sister Debbie hand up.
Sister Debbie.
Yes. So a bit confused, right?
Mhm.
Professor, so trying to understand something. If anybody on the chat that tell me, right? You know, when you're growing up and them thing, you ever hear the grandparents, the old people them say, love who love you? You ever hear that? Love who love you?
Yes, I've heard that. I love, yeah.
Yes, right? Reason being because sometimes the person that you love, you know, we always say, I'm in love with that person. And, you know, we have to ask yourself the question, everybody's saying, they wouldn't take the gift because and then only the person on and them thing. But what about, that person really check for you? Normally, as Sister Nicole say, you come out and you tell the person, no, not Sister Nicole, somebody said, you told the person exactly what my feelings are with you. But you are comfortable with the person, but you're not in love with the person. And then I listening this now, then I asking myself the question, what is love? What am I in love with the person? What am I in love with? The person giving me, the care for me, showing me where he cares for me, but the word for me to come and embrace him and say, baby, I love you. What is love? What is that kind of love?
Mm.
You understand? So that's the question I ask myself, listening to everybody. What is LOVE?
And
What is the love
that's what we're
between?
discussing, and that's what we're discussing, and that's what we're coming to. That
Right.
is what we want to find out. This thing called love. What really is it? But and love has many facets, and what we're discussing now is about being in love. That feeling of, well, we talk about it in a minute. But that's what we're talking about. And you must know when somebody says, I love you, I'm in love with you, what that means. It means they want to spend time with you. It means that they want your attention. It means a number of different things. So you must know. So what people are saying is, if you don't feel that way towards that person, if you don't feel that, in fact, we'll come to it in a minute, the feelings that you feel when you're in love, if you don't feel that way and the person feels that way towards you, it is not right, and this is what they're saying, to accept gifts from the person. It is not right to accept gifts from the person if you don't feel that way, even if you've told them and they still say, well, that's all right. I will still buy you gifts. I'll still spend my money on you. What they're saying is that is wrong to do, because you are leading the person on. You're giving them hope. You're saying that one of these days, maybe when you shower me with these gifts, I may just change my mind. My heart may just change. You may be able to buy over my love. This is what is being said. Okay. I'm switching here. All right. I'm seeing somebody's hand up.
Sister Christine.
Hello, good night, and happy birthday, sister. Now, the person love you, to giving you gifts, and you don't feel the same thing about that person, right? But from experience, I'm going to tell you that's a very dangerous game you are playing with them too. Because after time, right, they're going to say you're using me, and they're going to turn back, right? So you have to be very, very careful how you deal with that person. You deal with kindness, gentleness, and keep on telling them, you love me, but I don't love you, and I can't accept your gift, right? You have to keep in the back of your mind down the road later on too, right? Because you might turn back and say, I'm going to give for you, tell me to take it, and you don't want my love. That is a very dangerous game, right? That's what I'm saying.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me say one thing, and men may not agree with this, but it's something that I have seen and observed with men. Men don't give something for nothing. Generally, I'm saying generally now. You don't give something for nothing. Everything we give is an investment that we expect returns. And even if a man says to you, I love you and I'll still pour this into you, there's something that he expects in return. That is why a lot of men force women, because they are doing all this for you, are showing them, showering all the thing on you, are spending all my money on you, and now that usually they talk about sex, they want sex. They feel like when they put out, then you are supposed to reciprocate. That's a built-in thing with men. And even if it's not sex, they want something in return. Let me say we want something. We want some sort of reciprocity. So even if a man says it's okay, I will still continue to spend my money on you. In his mind, he is investing in the future. And when you allow him to continue to invest in the future, it may be, I'm not saying it happens in all cases, it may be that one day he will decide, you see, today's the day I want to get my returns. And where he was expecting to get it voluntarily, he may want to take it forcefully. He may want to do things forcefully because of what he has invested and what he has put out. And that has happened in a lot of cases. So that's why one of the reasons why we need to be careful as women when we allow men to invest so much into us. Even though you have said to them, I don't feel that way, there's going to come a time when he wants a return on his investment. And, you know, it may not be in the nicest of ways. So you've got to be careful. We've got to be careful. I'm generalizing now, but you've got to be careful when, you know, as far as that is concerned. Another hand is up. Someone's hand is up. First Lady.
Sister Christine Sylvester. Sister Christine, your hand is up. Sorry, Dr. Richards.
Yeah, pleasant good night. You hear me?
Yes, yes, loud and clear.
All right. Pleasant good night, everyone. Well, that was about when I used to be in my 20s. My mother, a gentleman came home to my mother asking my hand in marriage. Now I saw that same individual when I went by Sister Henry, which is my mother best buddy, because they used to go about and preach and whatnot, asking her daughters hand in marriage, and they refused, and of course laughing about it. But then when I come home, I saw he sitting down in our living room. So I want to know, well, what he doing there? And then my mother say he come to ask hand in marriage or so. So I tell she, no, I don't like him. Then she pulled me aside and telling me, it's not who you love, it's who love you. And eventually I will go, and if I go with him, I will go to love him. You understand? And I didn't understand that part. If I don't love you, how could I be with you and then grow to love you afterwards? And I know deep inside, I know I don't love you. So therefore, I getting into a relationship on a pretensive way, like pretending to I love you until eventually what will happen? So I tell her, no, I don't. I think she was very upset about it, but that was it. I didn't accept that at all.
Thank you so much. Do you know in the olden days, and especially in the Hebrew culture, Jewish culture, love wasn't really necessary for marriage. They had fixed, in fact, in many cultures, even here in our own country, love is not a part of marriage. In fact, some people are betrothed before they're born. Some people are before they're born or when they're born, you and this house and that house, or this family and that family, your daughter will marry my son, or my son will marry your daughter, and keep the money in the family, keep the property in the family. Do you know that happens? And maybe that's a discussion that we need to have. Is love really necessary for marriage? Because it worked. You know, Abraham sent his servant to find a daughter for Isaac. And they went and they found Rebecca. Isaac didn't know Rebecca, and he got married to her. Yeah. So that's another discussion that we're going to have sometime. We can have, even in this whole discussion about love. Is it necessary, you know, for marriage? But I just want to find out, Elder Sherry, I don't know if you were finished contribution, if you want to continue contribution, or shall we move on?
Yes, Dr. I'm still alive. I was just saying that I would have been very kind to the young man. As a matter of fact, because I knew where his heart was from my friend, I took the opportunity to have a discussion indirectly about, you know, building affection when it might be a mutual share. And when people are kind to you, it doesn't necessarily mean that they have feelings for you in any romantic way. You know, it's just that as human beings, we love each other, and you see good in people, and you just express gratitude for that, you know, that goodness, you know. And he eventually, you know, started kind of just unwinding and just realizing that we just love him because he's a human being, you know. And that was the end of that. But I want to say, you know, regarding that accepting of gifts and stuff, I saw a video one time where this man was making a big hullabaloo about, you know, wanting back all that he gave, right? Because he said, and the woman was shouting, but I tell you, I didn't like you. I tell you, I didn't like you. I tell you, we are just friends, you know? But as you were saying, there's always an agenda. I'm doing this because I want something in return. And so I am hoping that one day you'll change your mind. And so I continue. And as long as you continue to accept, the expectation is that you will reciprocate at some point in time. So when you reject them and do not take their gifts, you know, they will eventually get the message that, all right, this is not making sense, better I take my attention or affection elsewhere.
Yes, indeed. And as I told you, men are investors. We invest. And every cent we put out, everything we do, it is in the hope that you would reciprocate, that you would come back, that you would respond and return our feelings. And if it is that you don't do that, you know what that does to a man. And that's why we have things like rape, and we have things like murder, and we have all these things. Men who are unable to deal with that rejection, that continuous rejection, that place where by now you should, you know, you should understand I love you and you should love me by now. Look what all, and we feel, and again, I'm talking generally for men, we feel we can buy your love, we can buy your affection. We feel that if we shower you with enough gifts, that it is going to touch your heart somehow. And you're going to see us, because you're going to see us as being generous. You're going to see us as somebody who can take care of you. You can see us as somebody who is willing to spend on you. And we have that hope. And when that doesn't happen, you know, when that doesn't happen. Have you ever seen, I don't know how many of you have ever noticed with chickens, those who of us have mind chickens in the yard, a cock and a hen, or rooster and a hen. Sometimes it comes and it finds something to eat. You see it put something down in its mouth, and it starts making a noise for the hen to come around. All right. And the hen comes and sees it and you know, but he jumps on her. All right. It's all a setup. So he's willing to share that thing. He's willing to give up whatever it is to eat so that she would come. And generally that's what men do. They will sacrifice for you. But remember, in that sacrifice, they expect something in return. And so we've got to be, ladies have got to be careful. They've got to be careful. Somebody's hand is up.
Yes, Dr. Richard. Samantha? Well, Dr. Richards, before Samantha comes on, there's a comment in the chat. Carlene says, agreed with what Dr. Richards said earlier. I know of a case where a young lady continued to accept gifts from an older man, even though she told him she did not like him romantically. He paid her university tuition fees for 4 years, among other things. And when some time passed, he wanted her to be with him now. And when she refused, he killed her. What? Okay, this is a dangerous game people play with, and we should be very careful. And then Janet asked the question, why do men think like that, Dr. Richards? And then Judy says, how can you say you love someone and give them your kidney? And when the person died, you wanted back your kidney. Was that real love? Samantha?
Samantha. Hello? Are you there?
Samantha? Dr. Joshua has a comment to make. So.
Hello, yes, I get you now.
Oh.
Hi, hello, yes. This is not Samantha, really. This is Samantha's mom. This is Judy. right? And I can't get in touch with you all because my phone is down and I hardly get onto you all at all. Felix, read now, Judy, right?
Yes.
Yeah, well, you see, my point came across already, so it doesn't make much sense because I'm saying that is no wonder sometimes women get killed, because of the same thing, right? Because they're playing games, dangerous games, right? Where they should be honest enough to just tell the person no and don't accept anything from them. But as Pastor Richard said, men really have expectations, and when you continue, they take it as a sign that, and there's some hope that you're raising them that things will turn out in their favor. So when you continue and they figure, well, all right, this is my, and they get raised, their hopes up raised, and then when they dash their hopes now, sometimes something sugar in the head and they just can't take anymore, So it's a very dangerous game. And good night. And happy birthday, First Lady. Happy birthday. You look so beautiful. All right, bye-bye. See you on Saturday, please. See you on Saturday, please, God.
Wonderful. Good.
Yes, bye-bye. Right.
I think you said Joshua wanted to say something.
Yes, Dr. Richards. Just a comment or response to the comment that First Lady made earlier with the question about if you give someone a kidney and the person died and he wanted it back and they're asking if it's love. My personal opinion is yes, that was love. I personally don't see the issue with asking back for a kidney after the person died because I see it as they're not really using it. So you could ask for it back. The fact that you gave it in the first place said that you love the person and at least cared about them enough to give it to them. But the person is dead now and they're not really going to use the kidney and you're alive, so you might as well take it back. I mean, it's not saying, taking it back is not saying that I never loved you, I just gave you the kidney to, because I wanted something in return kind of thing. Or I just loved you for that point in time, and now that you're dead, well, I never loved you in the first place. But that's my opinion. I personally think that it is love and is no really, well, I personally see no problem with asking back for the kidney.
Thank you. Thank you, Joshua. Thank you.
Elder Sherry, your hand is up.
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to make a point. Sometimes there are people, so I don't know if Sister Debbie was alluding to that, who would help out people in situations, there's a need, but I don't have any expectation, and the person, I'm not expecting that the person have expectation either. I'm just doing because I see a need. And sometimes that happens as well, where people would help. So a man might help a woman but he doesn't have any romantic desire. And she may not be looking for a spouse or a man, but she has a genuine need and he's helping the situation. And nothing is wrong with that either. Once both parties understand, that there's no expectation on either side for any development of anything.
Yeah, yes, indeed. I mean, once there's no expectation, once it is clear, I think the scenario we are talking about is when there's an expectation by the person who is given, and the person says, I don't feel that way, but I'll accept your gifts. All right. That is where we have an issue. That is where, I mean, it is good. Nothing is wrong with accepting a gift from somebody. Nothing is wrong if you are in a situation. It's a blessing. Somebody blesses you, but you have to understand, you both have to understand the conditions of that blessing. Does it mean that I owe you now? Does it mean that I owe you something? And this is where the issue comes in. When the person feels, they tell you it's okay now, but in their heart and mind, this person, I'm doing this for this person and they owe me, and maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next week, but somewhere along the line, they had to pay me back. And that's where we have the issue. I think we have one more hand up.
Yes, we have Elder Gail.
Just an additional comment. And it's kind of tied in with what it is you just said. I was thinking, so you're receiving gifts from a man. You've told him, look, I'm not interested. I don't love you. And he continues to pour those gifts in, hoping that he can wear you down.
Mm-hmm.
But then one day you meet a man whom you love and you decide to have a relationship. That man will have a big issue because he was doing he was giving his gifts with the intention that one day he will wear you down enough that you will reciprocate and fall in love with him. And that's where the danger comes in, because the moment you meet someone else or you meet a man whom you really love, that could trigger him off, you know. And that is why, as I agree with the sister who spoke earlier on, that is why women are murdered, because they leave a relationship. It wasn't even a relationship because I told you I didn't love you, but you continue to pour gifts. And now that I've met a man whom I love, you have a problem. And I know of a situation where a woman was disfigured because of something like that. So women have to be very, very careful. A man does nothing without a purpose. Yeah. He does nothing without an intent and purpose behind his actions, regardless of how many times you tell him no. In his mind, he believes, because you see, some women are very greedy. You know, you don't want me, but you want what it is I can give to you. And there is always a price to pay somewhere down the road if we don't change our behavior, because a man's emotions are being trifled with, you know. And that is the part that comes to the surface when somebody else comes on the scene, you know, because then he starts throwing back in your face, you know, all these things are gifted here, but I told you I didn't want it, but you take it, but they accepted it, you know. So we as women, we have to be very careful, very careful.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Thank you so much, Elder Gail. I'm looking at the time, it's 8:26, so we need to wrap up here. We will pick it up on Tuesday, God's willing, at the same time. This thing called love, that's what we're talking about. This thing called love, what really is it? We're gonna see if we could answer that question, Sister Debbie. We will see if we could answer that question, because it's important, because it's a word we use all the time. We hear it almost every day. But what does it really mean, and how is it really manifested? You know, I remember as we were talking, there's a calypso by Sparrow that says, the one that you love, never married to she, is the one who loves you. She will make you happy. I think somebody mentioned that they love who love you. Does that always work? We could talk about that as well. Yes, Sister Debbie. So God bless you. God bless you. God bless you, all of you. We're going to continue this very interesting topic on Tuesday. Invite a friend, invite somebody, share the video with them, the YouTube video, and tell them, you know, let's jump on this journey together and see where it takes us. So God richly bless you. I love you. Well, I'm going to see you, most of you, on Saturday, God's willing. And so I am looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward. And I like First Lady. I had a glimpse into the activities of that day, and I'm really excited. So I'm looking forward to seeing most of you there. We're going to have a great time, a wonderful time. I love you. Have a great night. Have a great weekend. And First Lady is back over to you.